Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chem 1211 with your host, me, Dr. White. How you doing? Welcome to Chem 1211, General Chemistry at COD this summer 2024. Now, let's start out. First of all, I'm Dr. White, and I'm an organic chemist. What does that mean? I have my PhD in synthetic organic chemistry. Synthesis is a fancy word meaning to make. And for many decades, yes, decades can you tell, I worked in the chemical industry as a senior research and development manager. I worked for a couple international companies, chemical companies, and I have 10 US patents. Now, about 2001, the chemical industry, at least R&D, research and development, died in Chicagoland and a lot of the United States. And at that point, I first started teaching at another school, Elgin Community College in 2001, which I still teach part-time. And I also started teaching here at College of DuPage, COD, in 2007. Wow, I've been teaching here a long time. Now, in 2010, I won Outstanding Adjunct of the Year Award at COD. Yay, Dr. White. But anyways, which means I know what I'm doing, at least I think I do. Now, I've taught Chem 1211 many times, both face-to-face, both fall, winter, and summer. And I've also taught it online, face-to-face, and also, like I said, and also online, fall, winter, spring, and summer. Now, one of the things I did start doing a little while ago is I'm no longer doing it synchronous live lectures. I'm doing it asynchronous, but I'll talk about that later tonight. Now, tonight's meeting, and let me just check. Yep, it's being recorded, and I will post it on my Chem 1211 YouTube channel. So you can go back and watch some of this if you want to watch something you say, what did he say, or catch that. All right, let's get started. Now, actually, before I get to this part, a couple of things you should know about me. One is my hearing isn't that good. If we were face-to-face, I'd have my hearing aids in. I don't. Why? Because right above my monitor, I have two large amplified speakers. Now, what that still means is, even if I had my hearing aids too, if you talk softly, or if you talk with an accent, or if you talk softly with an accent, I'm going to have trouble hearing you. That's my problem, not yours. So please be patient if I ask you to repeat something once, twice, or even 3 times. That's just my hearing problem. Now, probably the most important thing I will teach you tonight about me is the following. Pay attention. In my class, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I'll say it again. In my class, actually in my world, there's no such thing as a dumb question. If you have a question, ask. Either email to me, come to my office hours, or if you can't come to my office hours, if we can get a certain time together, I'll set up a Zoom meeting. COD gives all faculty Zoom accounts, unlimited ones, really nice. So I can help you. I didn't learn that until my 3rd year in grad school. I was giving a talk to my research group where I was getting my PhD, got my PhD from Michigan State, yay. But anyways, and we had a postdoctoral fellow in our research group. And that's someone who already has a PhD in chemistry and doesn't have a full-time job. You go work for another professor for a year or so and get paid until you find a full-time job teaching our chemical industry. And we had Dr. Plavin, and I was giving my talk, and Dr. Plavin asked me, could you show me the mechanism, which I don't teach in this class, of this reaction? And I did. And afterward, I went up to Dr. Plavin. His first name is Larry. I haven't seen him in decades. Great guy, smart guy. I said, Larry, weren't you embarrassed? You got a PhD in organic chemistry, and that mechanism we teach to undergrad students. And he looked at me and said, why should I be embarrassed? I didn't know it. I asked a question so I could learn it. You taught it to me. Now I know it. There's no reason I should be embarrassed. And from that, I realized eventually there's no such thing as a dumb question. Always, always feel free to ask questions in my class. Do I know the answers to everything? No, but when it comes to chemistry in this class, I know most of them, if not all of them. All right, let's go to let me move something out of the way, Blackboard. And all of you, I think, have logged in. Good news, I'm still employed here. And if you log in, click on Chem 1211 net 02, you should all have, and you'll see the following. Now, let me do the following and go to student view. And this is how you would see it. Now, let's look at some important things. On the left are announcements, syllabus, my Zoom hour information to log in, assignments, course information, my YouTube video schedule. Bet you didn't know I'm a YouTube star. Yeah, sort of maybe. And PDFs instructions I'll go over. Now, if you've noticed, I'm a few years older than most of you. Boy, is that an understatement? And after a while, I was teaching a couple years ago, I found out a lot of you weren't aware of the good things in life. In other words, generation gap. So there's a list of my favorite music, like Jimi Hendrix, the Yardbirds, Jefferson Airplane, any groups you heard of. Those are available on YouTube, movies, and books. All right. Now, if we go to syllabus, you'll see here's the syllabus for this class that you're able to download. Throughout the semester, I will have on Monday and Wednesdays Zoom meetings, office hours from 6:30 to 7:30, Monday and Wednesday nights this summer. Now, interesting, in summer, faculty are not required to have office hours, but I do. Also, adjunct faculty, me, and other adjuncts are not required to have office hours, but I do. And here's the login. Obviously, you made it here today. If you ever forget, you can come to Blackboard and click on this. Next, throughout the semester, you will be having assignments, and I'll put them in the assignment area. And there's some assignments already there, and I'll talk more about this in a little while later tonight. Next, course information. Notice I have three folders. One is lectures, one is practice problems, and the final one is practice problem answers. Now, you'll be watching videos, and I'll talk about that later. But in those videos, which is like if you were in the classroom face-to-face with me, the slides I use are located here for you to download. And one of the things I've done where I can, some places I can't, but most of the time I can, you'll see chapter 1. I have it in black. That's an MS Word file. I have it in red, and that's a PDF file. And if we click on this, you'll see, and you can download this if you like to, my slides. And when I'm doing face-to-face, students also often print this and take notes on these. One of the things, because I've given many, many talks in the chemical industry, including a number at international chemical meetings like the urethane foam meeting, where I'll be giving a talk to 500 people. That was interesting. First time you do that in your life, you get up in front of 500 people. Boy, then 2 seconds later, Dr. White having a good time. But you'll notice I don't overcloud my slides, and my slides are not the slides that the publisher makes for the book. Because I know chemistry, so I can do my own. And again, this is in the course information, a lecture. In the other folder, I have practice problems, and I'll talk more about that, both as a Word document and as a PDF. But I will tell you this, I call these my practice problems. And keep a secret, after test 1, you'll know why I call them practice problems. Hint, hint. All right, let's get back to Blackboard. Here I have, which is also in my syllabus, the Zoom lecture videos and the URL and their titles right here, and which ones you're supposed to watch week 1. Think of watching a video as the same as coming to my lecture. Now remember, summer, we're doing in 8 weeks, what in fall and spring we do in 16 weeks. So it's twice as much per week. If we were face-to-face, same thing. If we were having lecture, you'd come in for twice the amount of lecture time per week that you would in fall and spring. But relax, take a deep breath, let it out. My students do well, and I'll talk more about that in a little while. Now, one of the things you'll be doing this semester is in the assignment area, you will be uploading either lab reports or quizzes to Blackboard. One thing I should tell you, and I almost did it just now, at COD, the computer system is called Blackboard. A similar but not as good system at Elgin Community College, ECC, it's called Desire to Learn, which is really nicknamed D2L. So if I ever say D2L here, I really meant Blackboard. And over there, sometimes I say Blackboard, where I meant D2L. Now, you will be uploading files. And what you'll be doing is either printing out like a lab report or a quiz, writing your answers on there, and then uploading them as a PDF file. At this point, you're saying, hold on, what if I don't have a printer? What if I don't have a scanner? Relax. If you don't have a printer, you can read the lab report or the quiz and write down on a piece of paper the answer for those questions. You don't have to rewrite the questions. Now, what happens if you don't have a scanner? You notice here I have a HP printer scanner right there behind a picture from my favorite movie, Forbidden Planet. If you haven't seen the movie Forbidden Planet, you should. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, science fiction. But anyways, if you don't have a scanner, a number of years ago, another faculty member at ECC told me about this app called Cam Scammer. And you can use any cell phone that has a camera, which they all do, and take pictures of the pages you have your answers on, and then Cam Scanner converts it into a PDF file that you can upload to Blackboard. Now, it's a free version, and then like any free version, they'll want you to spend money for all these bells and whistles. You don't need it. Use the free version. Dr. White just saved you some money. Thank you. You're welcome. And it works quite well. My students have been using it for years now. I've yet to have a student who has a problem with it. I've never used it because I've got a scanner. And if you open up these files, it explains how to do that. And here I have used the free version. Don't get the one with extra bells and whistles. And again, here's the name of that app. And right now, I used to have an Apple phone, iPhone. I changed 2 phones ago to Samsung, phones, and I like them. And that's what I have now. But like I said, I don't use Cam Scammer. All right. Now, let's go through the syllabus. And I'm going to open this up. Hang in there. I'm waiting to. Just checking to make sure what I think you are saying. And let's make this a little smaller. All right. This you can download as a PDF file. For some reason, Blackboard, the syllabus, I can't also put as a Word document. Anybody wants it as a Word document, email me and I'll be more than happy to send you that too. All right, let's go through this. Summer 2024. And that goes from today through August 3rd. And here's the link. By the way, I'm still Dr. White. I haven't changed my name. And please don't call me professor. Call me Dr. White, please. And here's the same link, which I showed you earlier. Now, here's a phone number, which is actually a voicemail box. And I'm trying to remember what decade I last checked it. I think I might have checked it maybe 2009, 2010. Don't call that. Email me. I check my email twice a day, every day of the week. Now, I've throughout my life haven't needed a lot of sleep. So usually I'll check it once about by 7 a.m. and I'll check it later in the afternoon or evening. That's the best way to reach me. Now, there's a lot in the syllabus that I'm required, every faculty member, to put in. And I do, and you can read this at your leisure, such as the goals and objectives and the active course file. Two days later, we'll get through it. No. All right, let's look at course material. First one, textbook. Notice I have optional. The book is by Tro, and it's Introductory Chemistry you can get from the bookstore for $121.50. Don't. If you go to ratemyprofessor.com, you'll see a lot of students say you don't need a textbook in my class. I'm going to tell you something that you should be aware of. When I teach, if you follow my suggestions on how to prepare for the quizzes and tests and do the lab, historically, listen to this, 60 to 70% of my class, and the key word is earn A's, and most of the rest earn B's. Yes, my students do that well. That's why I won my award, because I know how to teach. But you have to do what I want, what I not want, but what I recommend. And that way you'll earn it. And those students have not needed the book. One, my lectures do their job. They're very thorough. And two, my practice problems are much better than those in the book. You can still buy the book, and I follow the material that's in the book, which is really the active course file, but don't buy the book. But what you need to buy, and hopefully you got my earlier emails, and hopefully you've already gotten yours, is the lab kit from Carolina Biological Supply Company. What you need to do is, and if you haven't done it, do it tomorrow. Go online, COT bookstore, and you can find what things are required for this class. They'll have the lab kit. From them online, you'll buy a voucher. And the lab kit is $216.75, and that I have no control over. Once you get the voucher, you order the kit from Carolina Biological. And right here is how to redeem your kit. So, and if you have any problems, let me know. Carolina Company, we've been using them a couple of years now, and they do a really good job. The kit is good kit. Students are able to make the labs work. By the way, who just had their cat there? Dogs are allowed and children too. But anyways, it's a good kit. Now, I have, please note, this is the first semester. The chairman of the chemistry department instituted this for the whole chemistry department. In the last 2 years or so, for whatever reason, both face-to-face and online, a lot of students weren't doing a lot of the labs. And labs are usually worth about a quarter, 20, 25% of your grade. And they were still able to get C's and B's and a few A's. And the lab, the chairperson was upset. And I also didn't like that a lot of students weren't doing the labs. And she came up with the following. If you don't get a minimum of 65% of the lab points, you can't get a C in this class. If you don't get a minimum of 50% of the lab points, you're going to fail it. You can't even get a G. Now, what that means is you've got to do the labs. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to get a good grade. But don't tell anybody. But my grading of labs is not that hard. Most students usually get about 90, 95% of the points if you do them and hand them in. So, but you got to hand them in, because if you don't hand in a lab, you get 0 points. And then if you don't have 65% of possible points, which is a D, which no student of mine should ever get that low, they've handed in their labs, you won't get a good grade. And that's the policy now. And I'm going to stress it again, but you need to get the lab kit as soon as possible. Now, hidden down here is you need a calculator. And I'd recommend the Texas Instrument TI-30XIIS. And that's this calculator right here. Mine's about, I don't know how many years old. These things are bulletproof. You can get them anywhere. Well, I don't know about a local gas station, but you can get them at Staples, Walmart, Target, and I can keep on going. I don't know if Walgreens sells them. They're about $15, $16 to get the one that's pretty colored. You may even have to pay $18. That's not that much money in today's price. When I was in grad school, the first calculators came out from HP, and they're about $500. Well, I didn't get one. I was using a slide rule back then. Someone I know did. And $500 back then when they came out, a good, real good salary was only 20,000 a year. So they were expensive. So these are good. In one of my videos, I will show you how to use this. If you have problems using your calculator, come to my office hour. Remember, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Oh, I better tell you something very personal. And that is, I like things that make me happy. I'm really selfish in that way. One of the things that makes me very happy is see students get good grades in my class. I get no pleasure by seeing someone get a D, F, even a C in my class. A's and B's make my heart feel good, make me happy. If you need any help with anything, always feel free to ask for help. All right, so definitely get one of these. I should mention in my videos, every question on my quizzes and tests I've covered in the video at least twice. Nothing on my quiz or test will ever be a surprise if you watch the videos. All right, I have a thing about student behavior and academic honesty. I'll let you read that on your own. Some of this were required, everybody at COD, to put in their syllabus. And I talk about if somebody has problems or cheats, and I will do what's in my syllabus. Over the years, a couple of times, I have had to work with my dean of math and science, along with the dean of students, because the student was causing a lot of problems. All right, this is very important, and nobody raised their hand. You should see me in private. If there are any special needs students, first of all, you should contact the Center for Access and Accommodations for what your special need is. They'll work with you. If they grant that, they'll send you a letter that you should copy or forward to me by email. I have been working with the center for many years, and I will do whatever I can to help any student with a special need. Always have, always will. Now, this paragraph right here, we're required to put in there for students to explain more about special needs in the center. If you have any questions, see me or actually contact the center. They do a superb job here at COD, have been since 2707 when I started working here. All right, let's get to the important things. By the way, I should tell you, yes, I was a student a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and I remember. And I should tell you before I go through this, I teach by my golden rule of teaching. Really, what's that? I don't do to students what I didn't like done to me when I was a student. I'll say that again. I teach by my golden rule of teaching. I don't do to my students what I didn't like done to me, and I don't. All right, this semester, there'll be 6 quizzes. Those are the dates. There'll be 2 tests. There'll also be a final exam. Per the chemistry department rules for 1211 net, I have to give my 2 tests where you have to take it at the College of DuPage Testing Center. And you have to go there. They're open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 p.m. Now, what I'll do is I'll give you a couple-day window to take the test. Same thing with the final exam. And the quizzes will all be online. I will send out an email with a password for a password protected PDF file. And you'll have 36 hours to take this quiz and upload it as a PDF file. And since you're at home, and I'm going to go by the honor system, normally a quiz, I'd give you 30 minutes, we were face to face. I'll give you 2 or 3 hours. But once there's no timing, once I send out the password, you have until the next day, I think it's 8 p.m., a day and a half, almost 2 days, to take the test or quiz and then upload the answer as a PDF file. Now, one thing I should mention, I have been teaching on Zoom now since, wow, I think March of 2020. So it's almost more than 4 years. Dr. White is very clever. I put things in my quizzes which tell me when a student's gone on the internet or students cheat. And unfortunately, they work quite well. Please don't. I'm real laid back. There are 2 things that get me upset. One, people who lie to me. I don't like that. But then again, I think most people don't. And 2, students who cheat. I think of cheating as a form of lying. But you don't have to in my class. Students do well. And same when they were face to face. And I'd watch the class like a hawk to make sure nobody was cheating there either. Now, one thing, when you take the test and the final exam at the main center, testing center, you will need a photo ID. I highly, highly recommend bring your own calculator because they may give you one you're not that familiar with. So always, and I'll remind you, now later in the semester, we'll have an extra credit project. There's an extreme emergency. Contact me, we'll talk about makeup policies, but there's got to be some sort of documentation. You just can't say, oh, I couldn't take the test. Can I take it next week? No, it's got to be some reason. All right, now listen carefully. All Chem 1211 students have to take a standardized final, and that's written by the American Chemical Society. ACS is the acronym for American Chemical Society. And the ACS final, get the message, it's awful. It's multiple choice time test. Last time I checked for, I think it was 1211, out of 50 questions, the all country average a couple of years ago was an average of 27 correct, which tells me, and I already know this, whoever wrote the test, and I've met some of the people who had questions submitted that are used, don't know how to write a test because you shouldn't have an average that low. But we're required to give that, and a lot of other schools do that too. Well, the good news is we can be creative. And to minimize the effect, also, that's the only test I ever curved. But we are required to have the ACS test count 5% of your grade. To minimize the possible damage, I came up with a creative way of grading that works quite well. Here you're going to have 53.6% of your grade is the higher value of the sum of 4 quizzes plus test 1 or the sum of 6 quizzes. Then the points from test 2 is 17.8% of your grade. I think a test 2 is my final. And the final exam, the ACS, is 5.4. Now the lab is worth 23.2%. And let's do a little math. X is the sum of 6 quizzes and no test 1. Y is the sum of 4 test quizzes and test number 1. Z is the higher value for X or Y. Jalen, you have a question?
Yeah, so I had a question on the CAM scanner. Like, obviously, like, you know, we scan a PDF and everything like that, but I was wondering, are you just looking for our answers, or are you just wanting us to just submit our like work and everything too?
Well, I'll talk about that during the semester. Most of my questions, I only use a few multiple choice questions because I didn't like them when I was a student. And multiple choice are designed to trick students, which I don't like to do. Most of my questions will be either single answer or, relax now, problems where you have to work out some stuff. Now, I highly recommend, and I'll teach you all how to do problems, word problems. Relax. You'll see my students do really good on them. That the more you show your work, if you make a mistake, I can give partial credit on a problem where you're allowed to show your work. So the answer to your question is one, you don't have to rewrite the questions. But if you print out the quiz, then you just write it, or face-to-face, you'll be giving a 9-page booklet. And you can either just write the answer, nothing else, or show your work. And if you show your work, and let's say, where did I hide it? What if you accidentally push the wrong button when you're using your calculator and you get the wrong number? If you just put that answer down, don't show your work, I give you a 0. If I see the work and say, oh, he or she probably made a math error, I'll just take off 1 point. So it's to your benefit to show your work, but you don't have to, okay? Does that answer your question, Jayla?
Yes, thank you.
By the way, thank you. I appreciate when students ask questions. Thank you. Like I said, there's no such thing as a dumb question in my class. All right, let's go back to grading. Now, let me make this a little larger so you can see it. A percentage that you will earn in my class is determined by the number Z, which is calculated from here, plus test number 5, and that should really be a 2. Oops, I'll have to change that. Sorry, I missed that. Plus the final exam score, plus the lab total, plus the extra credit if you do that, times 100 divided by 560. You'll get a percent. Let me just remind you, you got to get at least 65% of the lab points to get a C or better in this class. In other words, hand in the labs. But now, if you get 90% or higher, that's an A. 80, 89 B, 70, 79 C, 60, 69 D, 59 or less F. As I said earlier, historically, and I've taught Chem 1211 a number of times. I've also taught 1105 here. I've also taught organic chemistry 1212. In all those classes, if you do what I will be recommending later tonight, most of my students in a class I teach, about 60 to 65% of my students, listen carefully, earn an A. Most of the rest get B's, get a few C's and D's. And yes, I can only do so much, and I have students who flunk. Last semester, I taught 2 sections of Chem 1105, 48 students. And unfortunately, I had 3 students who flunked. And it didn't make me happy. I tried to help, but there's only so much. But I did have more than 65% of the class earn A's. So this formula, especially for Chem 1211, works well for my past students, should work well for you. Withdrawal, here's the school policy, here's the deadline. I will tell you this, rarely do I have students withdraw. The only time I've had that, A, if someone is about to give birth, they may withdraw. And B, unfortunately, I've had students who come down very bad with COVID and they've had to withdraw. And the other one, students got a job outside the area. That was face-to-face, not on internet. And that's it. Rarely do I have students drop my class because my students like what I'm doing. By the way, if you haven't done it, check out ratemyprofessor.com for me at COD. And you might want to look at me at ECC too. I think I have the most or close to the most evaluations of any faculty in the chem department. Incompletes, if there's a need, I do give those. All right, let's look at something important. Here's the tentative schedule for this semester. Summer goes quick. Do not fall behind. Don't procrastinate. You're not going to learn chemistry a day or two before a quiz or a test. You're not going to do well, and I want you to do well. So the week of each one, here are the chapters you should be going through. Now you don't need the book, but I do it by chapter. And I have somewhere, I think down here somewhere, thought I had in here, the chapter titles. If not, I'll have to put it in here. I thought I put it in there. I'll have to put it in here. Now, I keep to the schedule. It's a schedule that's worked. I've taught in the summer, both face-to-face and on Zoom, and this works well for my students. It's at a faster rate because it's summer, but it's at a doable rate. Now, here's something I'm doing that I did a couple semesters already at the other school that works out well. When I was giving synchronous live Zoom lectures, I recorded them. By the way, Dr. White is a power user on a computer. I got my first PC when I was working at one company in 1984. So I've been a power user for a few years. And during COVID, because some students were working at jobs like at a hospital, nursing home, where someone got sick with COVID, that student would have to cover an extra shift. And they couldn't make it to my live lecture. And I started recording the lectures, and I kept on doing that. And the school gives us access to the Adobe Cloud, and Adobe has a really good video editing software called Premiere Pro, which I taught myself how to use. That's a skill I have with computers. And I have my own YouTube channel. And these are the videos you should watch if you want to get a good grade. Think of these as the lectures. If you were face-to-face, if you want to get a good grade, you would come to my lectures. And week one, here are the videos to watch. And you can just cut and paste the URL. And who's that very distinguished looking chemist on the screen? Good morning, everybody. And one thing I should point out, for each of the videos, you'll see where it has date and then the word more. If you click on that, that tells you what I discuss in that video. Now, for a couple semesters, when COVID was in full blast, we were using lab simulations. Once COVID ended, we went to chemistry department for 1211, also 1105, to having you buy the lab kit and do experiments at home. And because of that, the last time I did Chem 1211, where we used the lab kit, was a fall semester. So if you look at the titles, you'll see week 1, 2, 3, 4 through 16, which is from a fall, which I've converted on that chart to what you should watch in the summer for week 1, which is essentially week 1 and 2 in the fall. So I wanted you to be aware of that. But you should be watching those videos. And the nice thing is, since it's on YouTube, you can watch it whenever you want. You can watch it on a tablet, a computer, or even a cell phone. Just don't do it while you're driving, please. Now, the other component for this, and again, I apologize, this is not the most exciting thing, but it's stuff I need to go through, is the lab. Now, the lab, you'll be using, like I said, the lab kit. And here again, I put the department's rule about percent points to get a C or better or D or better. And also, we require for each lab that uses the Carolina Lab Kit chemicals that you take a selfie of you with some chemicals and include that. And that again is department regulations, which I follow. Now, this semester, we'll be doing 14 labs. Each lab, and this is another mistake, is worth 10 points. And I will drop the lowest lab. And that will count for 23.2% of your grade. Now, lab reports are due to next lab session. I think I have a Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday. I forgot which I have to be handed in. If you don't hand in a lab experiment, even if you were face-to-face and did the lab and don't hand in a lab experiment, you get 0 points. Now, if you have a late lab, you'll get 2 points taken off. You got a week to hand it in. And I have 8 days, and I should really increase maybe a little more. But if you don't hand in a lab after a long period after it's due, you get 0 points. I will be putting in the assignment area the PDF files, which are your lab instructions and the lab report you need to fill out. If you don't have a printer, you can, guess what? Just write the answers out. Now, one of the nice things is I have here's the schedule. Now, if we go to the assignment area, of Blackboard, now if you notice, I have Lab 1, Safety Lab. Now, if I click on the title, I thought I had it in here. I'll have to put it in this one. I have them on the other ones. There'll be a video to watch. Maybe I have it in the document. Let's take a look here. Yeah, here I have it in the document, YouTube video to watch. And you need to read this, and I have some more videos to watch. The ones in red, you should watch. The ones that aren't in red, you don't have to watch. And that will give you the information to answer these questions. And you'll upload this, or if you want, if you don't have a printer, the answers to these questions, and that's lab number 1, how you get your points. And those videos, and later on, I actually have in the assignment area where to watch a video. Now, one thing I need from you all as soon as possible is the COD at-home safety contract. And here's the PDF file. Now, this one you have to print out. You can go to any local library or COD library if you don't have access to a printer at home, or you can ask a friend. Now, in this contract, there are two places you need to sign it and date it. You cannot sign them electronically. You actually have to write it out. I need these by the end of the week or sooner. If you get them to me by 6/14/24 before 1 p.m. uploaded, I'll give you 2 points. So Dr. White believes there's 2 ways of getting people to do things. One is carrot, the other is stick, carrot and stick. And that comes from the old days. If you had say a donkey pulling your cart, how do you get the donkey to move? Well, you can hit it with a stick, or you can put a carrot in front. Come on, do you want this? Do you want this? And it's the reward and punishment method. I don't like punishments. I believe in rewards. But remember, you have to sign it. You cannot use electronically sign. And I'm under a deadline that the chairperson of the chemistry department wants all faculty for their teaching net courses to have these in by a week from today at the latest. So please get them in before the 14th and you'll get 2 bonus points. I see a question. All right. All right, let's go back to the syllabus. Again, this is not the most exciting things, but it's something important I need to do for all of you. All right, now here's the lab schedule. And I will have in the assignment area, each lab, a day or 2 before is that Tuesday or Thursday. I'll make it visible to you and you'll be able to do those labs. If you have any problems with the labs, or if you're missing anything, or have anything problems with Carolina Company, contact me. I have one of their associates I work with, and they're a really good company. They really want to help students. Now, the last thing in my syllabus, I have, this is your copy, and I'll show you where you can get your copy to fill out. I have what I call the student agreement, and it's this right here. I have read the syllabus thoroughly and understand the policies for this class. It should be 12/11. And I understand my responsibilities to abide by these. And I understand that failure to abide by these policies will result in the consequences outlined in the syllabus. Let's go to Blackboard. And if you notice in the assignment area, I have what I call the signature sheet. And if we click on that, I have it both as a PDF file and a Word document. Let's open up the PDF file. And actually, this one's a little more detailed. It covers Zoom also. I need you to print your name. This can't be electronically. You need to sign it, not electronically, and date it and upload. This is another one you have to print out. There are only 3 things you have to print out. The 2 pages from the COD home lab contract, safety contract, and this. And upload it to Blackboard. We go back to my syllabus. If I do not have your signed agreement, you'll not be able to take the second quiz. In other words, you'll get a 0. So you have a deadline, and I need one from each of you. All right, any questions before I go? Again, that's not the most exciting thing, but it's important.
I have a question.
Yes, Nancy.
Um, for the lab, so it says to purchase the lab kit and or the simulator.
No,
We don't need we just need the lab kit.
just go and get the voucher from the bookstore and then order the lab kit with the voucher like I have in my syllabus from Carolina Company. You don't need any simulator. You don't need the book or the electronic, whatever they call it, publisher has for their stuff, electronic stuff. If you want to get
Okay.
right ahead, I'm not going to be using the book other than what's in the book. What's in the book, I sort of file. I actually follow different chapters, but that will be all you need is the lab
The lab kit.
and
Okay.
obviously you should get yourself a calculator if you don't have one. If you have a fancy calculator, fancier, that's fine. They work, but you don't have to go out and spend $60, $70. Just one of these are about $15. Other question.
Okay. Oh, I just also wanted to let there's through Microsoft, there's Microsoft Lens. I don't know if anyone that, and I'm pretty sure you can get that like through the school, the Microsoft. There's Lens, and that one you can like take pictures and scan
Oh,
with
okay.
also.
I'll tell you what. When you have a chance, can you send me an email with the name of that? And I'll put out an email to the students saying one of your colleagues recommends this. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've been using, I actually personally don't use it because I've got my own scanner. Plus, I don't have to hand in my own tests or labs. But anyways, and many students have used CamScanner and it works, but that doesn't have to be the only one that works. Because guess what? I don't get any money back from CamScanner. Shucks. All right. Any other questions?
I have a question. So is Zoom meeting and YouTube videos discuss the same thing? For example, like a Zoom one and YouTube video one discuss same thing or
All right,
different?
let's go through it again. For the class, you need to watch the videos. Well, you don't have to, but if you don't watch them, you're not going to get a good grade. Over the years, students have said to me, and you can read that and ratemyprofessor.com, my lectures work. They help students. So you need to watch in that one list where I had the different YouTube videos, watch those. And then do the practice problems for those chapters. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. My office hours, you don't have to show up. On Monday and Wednesdays from 6:30 to 7:30, anyone who has a question and needs help, I'll be there every Monday and Wednesday. Now, I'm also using that same time for the class I teach at Elgin Community College, but I've done this a number of times, and I switch between students so everybody gets help. And if I need to stay later to help a student past 7:30, I will. Now, if there's nobody there and it's 7:30, then I'll end the Zoom meeting. But if there's somebody still needing help, I'm not going to run away from a student and say, oh, it's 7:30, bye, I'm out of here. No, I'm going to stay a little longer. That's just who I am. Okay?
Okay, thank you. One more question. So test 1 and 2 and final exam, we have to go to the testing center, like this test week. Are you gonna be available? It's gonna be available?
In a second.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll do it right now. All right. For the 2 tests and the testing center, on the first test, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, you're during 9 to 5, any one of those days, you'll be able to go to the testing center and take the test. Or no, wait, let's take it back. July 1st or 2nd, because they're not open on the 4th, and I've got to pick them up on the 3rd so I can grade them and get them back to you. You'll have 2 days, either Monday or Tuesday, to take the test. 1. Now, test 2 is like my final, and I do this, and I've done this when I taught face-to-face 12-11 with the test and the ACS on the week. And let me get up the week of July. I better look at my syllabus first. Hold on. The week of the 29th, that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you'll have those 3 days to take test number 2 and also take the final. Now, when I do that face-to-face, that Thursday, I give my test 2, and then afterward I give the ACS. The ACS is a time final. And so you can take it on 2 separate days or take it the same day, whatever you want. Okay, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All right, let's talk about how to do good in my class. In order to do that, I have to talk about bicycles. Bicycles? Yep, bicycles. Let's assume you don't know how to ride a bicycle. And being the nice person I am, and I am, I give you the best Blu-ray ever made on how to ride a bicycle. And you just happen to have in your family room a large 75-inch high-def TV, like I have mine, and a real good Blu-ray player. And for next month, for many hours during each day, you watch that Blu-ray video. And you watch it in slow motion, frame by frame. And at the end of the month, you probably know that Blu-ray video, how to ride a bicycle, by heart. Well, what's going to happen the first time you get on a bicycle? You're going to fall off. Well, when you watch my videos and I teach you how to solve problems and answer questions you might see on the test, and actually that is learning chemistry, guess what? It doesn't look that hard, just like watching the Blu-ray video, how to ride a bicycle. But if you don't practice, what's going to happen when you get on a test? Oop, you're going to fall off, and that won't be pretty. But if you do the practice problems and fall off there, which my students do, and then learn and practice, when you take test 1, 2, and the ACS final, you will do well, which is why my students historically have gotten 60, 70% of the class will earn, and that's the right word, earn A's. And if you're, I guess I'm going to do a generation gap. How many of you have ever heard of Michael Jordan? A few of you. Back in 1995, how many of you weren't born yet? I was, but some of you. Back in 95, and I've been in Chicagoland most of my life, except when I went to grad school at Michigan State in East Lansing. But other than that, I'm from Chicago, been Chicagoland area. You would see on TV in the sports report or in the newspaper in the sports section every once in a while. And this is when Michael Jordan was the best of the best of the best in the NBA, the very best player. There'd be articles or on the news in the sports section of the TV report, Michael Jordan. First one on the practice court, last one off the practice court. How could the best player at that time in all the NBA, how come he spent so much time on the practice court? Because that's what kept him the best. And chemistry is no different. I provide my own practice problems plus the answers. I go through them in the videos, some of them. And hello, Kat. Oh, by the way, I have a sense of humor and I use it. Sometimes it's good humor days. Sometimes, well, we all have to suffer. But anyways, that's what helps my students do good. That's because I've created practice problems and the answers. I go through them. If you have a problem doing any of your practice problems, always feel free to come to my office hour, email me, or if you can't make my office hour and you need face-to-face help, email me and we'll see when I can set up a Zoom meeting with you, a private one, and I will. All right, another thing a number of years ago, and I'm not going to go into detail, I've seen it many times, students who study real hard, sit down, take a quiz or a test, and just totally blow it, get a very bad score. But they studied, and they studied hard, and they have what's called test anxiety. Later in the week, I will send out an email with a link to a YouTube video of mine that's private, which I came up with a method that eliminates test anxiety like that. You still have to study and learn the material, but it totally eliminates test anxiety. Now, I've seen students of mine go from, sorry, I just had a leg cramp. I was doing some work outside and my leg muscle saying, what did you do to me today? I was doing some construction work in my backyard. But anyways, and eliminates test anxiety, and they go from getting F's, D's, or low C's in their classes, including mine, to B's and A's, high A's, and it works. And you'll see that video. It's only 15 minutes. And afterward, if you need help, come to my office hour, and that will be available to you. All right, don't fall behind. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Keep up with the videos. I have that list of what videos you're supposed to watch week 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And that would be the same as coming to my lectures, either if it was synchronous or at COD face-to-face. My lectures help students. I want you to do well. Watch the videos. Also do the practice problems. Don't fall behind those. You're not going to learn and do well on a quiz or test if you try and learn it all the night before. You can't. Well, unless you're a genius. Any Einsteins out there? I mean, when I was undergrad and grad school, I didn't learn things the night before, and I've done real good. I must have. I have a PhD in chemistry. All right. I think I've covered just about everything. Don't forget, you should have the chem kit ASAP. Don't forget, the chem department is set up so you don't get 65% of the points, total points for the labs. You cannot earn a C or higher. The way I grade, you hand in the labs and do them, and they're not that hard. You shouldn't have a problem. Now, one last thing, and I have in the video, but I want to talk about the lab kits, and that is you will be doing chemistry at home. Most of you will do it in your kitchen. Now, some of you have very expensive kitchen tops like marble, quartz, other material that your parents don't want chemicals on. And it's in the video, but I'll show you now. And I don't get any kickback from this company. if you, and let me just check that you can see what I think you should see. Sometimes Zoom plays a trick. I think you should be seeing it, you know. All right, buy these inexpensive. Notice here they have 2 casserole pans, or if you want to buy a larger one, just the 8-inch, but I would get the larger 2, or even this one. It's about under $4, or you can just buy one deep roasting pan or this larger one, and do all your reactions and chemistry in there. So if you spill, it'll be in that pan and you won't have to worry about it causing any problems to expensive countertops. It's cheap insurance. I have here from Walmart. You can go to Target. Or as one of my good friends calls it, that French store, Target. Bad humor. But anyways, and other places, and get those. Get a couple and you can reuse them, rinse them out when you're done. The same as this is a safe thing. Now, a couple last things. One, you'll find out from the videos, I'm Jewish. And one of the things Jewish people came up with, I don't know when it was developed, it's called Yiddish. Yiddish is a mixture of Hebrew and German. And my grandparents all came from Russia, but spoke Yiddish. Most Jews who came from Europe, Eastern Europe, as opposed to Spain and down Portugal, speak, or common language was Yiddish. And one of the greatest people I've ever had in my life, God bless her soul, was my mother's mother, Grandma Greenman, Bessie Greenman. What a great woman, what a powerful woman. And when we would go over on the weekend to see her and my grandfather at their place, before we leave, she'd always say in Yiddish to us when we were little kids and even older, "Gehen gesund." "Gehen gesund" is Yiddish for go in health. And since COVID started, and I'm on Zoom like this, I always end "Gehen gesund." The other thing I always do in my videos, you'll see, there was a great TV program when I was in high school, very popular one, called the Beverly Hillbillies. And at the very end, one of the actors who played Granny would go like this, "Bye now." And I still laugh. So with that, I'm going to stick around for a while afterward if anybody has questions. But if not, I'll say, "Gang gesund." Bye now. I stole that from Granny and the Beverly Hillbillies. Bye. Thanks for coming by.